which we very often see from her in other matchups such as PvT.
That's very true, but we'll see how things shake out as we start up here on the top left-hand side of the map, on top of Psystorm Gaming's very own Nina.
And playing for Team Shopify Rebellion, it is none other than Scarlett.
Yeah, so here's the trick that I feel like you always have to worry about when you're facing Scarlett in a ZVP. I feel like a lot of the time there's a lot of Zergs that are playing a bit more reactive to Protoss players, right? There's a lot of Zerg players who kind of say like, okay, what are you doing? Let me just set up myself up so I can deal with all the shenanigans the Protoss throws at me. Maybe worry a little bit about, you know, what their late game and stuff is going to look like. Scarlett is a bit more of the, okay, I know how Protoss like to play because she likes to meme as Protoss herself. And she just kind of comes up with all these really, really annoying, abusive, and invasive kind of builds or styles. Like the Swarmos thing, I think, is like the perfect example of it. Or a Nidus Worm kind of play, where she just really throws the Protoss player off their normal game and finds really, really nice ways to kind of, I guess, abuse risks that the Protoss players oftentimes take. I think that's what makes it really tough to just do your thing versus Scarlett.
You could be right. You could be right. I think for a while as well, she was pretty open about how much she didn't enjoy playing against Protoss. Even had the clan tag adapted or something. But I think that also piled into it, that she just kind of wanted the games over and done with and would kind of just go for the easiest way to try and win the game, I suppose. But yeah, against Nina, I think this is a matchup that, as opposed to playing against Neeb or Estrella or whatever, this is one that she absolutely sees herself as the favorite. So going into this, we might see her not just resort to that kind of stuff, actually. We'll get to see a bit more of her arsenal and what she has available in the matchup.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I think especially in a best of 5, I'm not expecting her to play quite that way in every single one of these games. No. As you were saying, Nina is the one that I think does sometimes set a bit of an odd pace to the matchup and stuff, throwing out some kind of more different styles and everything. And we already see Twilight Council opening in an era of many Stargate openings coming out here, Ben.
Yeah, Protoss kind of have two choices. It's been a long day, Ravi. Protoss kind of have a few choices, but they've kind of been toying with Stargate or Twilight Council. We've seen Adepts be really damn good. We've even seen a bit of revival of some of the DT builds. We saw that from Estrella quite a bit, but yeah, will be Twilight, will be a Robo follow-up. And right now, Nina's just trying to get a bit of scouting information with this initial shade.
Yeah. If you are going to go into Resonating Glaze, I think it is more common if you're going to do something like this, but no, it's actually just going to be skipping Resonating Glaze, or at a minimum delaying it. I think it's going to just be skipped, but straight into Dark Shrine. This is a super fast Dark Shrine. This is like the fastest kind of style of Dark Shrine with a War Prism you can usually go for.
Oh yeah, and the Adepts do get in here, but how much are they going to get done? Oh, nice. I love the body block. But getting 2 drones for 2 Adepts, you kind of want to get a little bit more than that. So nice play on both sides.
Yeah, now it's important that Nina still has another Adept coming on out to just plug up that wall, and it's going to be popping out just in the nick of time. Scarlett coming forward, you're going to see the Robo, and she's also possibly just going to see the War Prism immediately. This definitely already sets off a few alarm bells of like, okay, what this could be. But I like that Nina is still just warping in Adepts right now, not just because, you know, Adepts nice at cleaning up Zerglings, but this is still just going to force Scarlett to at least think a little bit like, okay, is this Resonating Glaive Adepts or something? But Scarlett's already playing it safe. She has Spore Callers on the way.
Yeah, and Nina did not go up to 4 gases with this. Did not stay on 2 either. And Probe dies again, delaying that expansion. You can tell by the minerals that Nina, while she has enough to warp in quite a few DTs here, just 2 DTs. This is very much like the Estrella build, actually.
Yeah, I think it's better to do a little bit of light commitment to the DT opening with this kind of situation. Although she's gonna just go straight in after the drones with 1 DT, it does get surrounded. The other DT goes in after the Queen, which it should be able to kill over here. Now we have the Warp Prism getting ready to try and move back in. I think it tried to pick up the first DT. Oh, misses the pickup on the second DT as well. And the third base gets canceled. Oh no, Ben, this is a
Lost, Fear Dragon, lost. That, in the blink of an eye, Nina just made... it wasn't about mistakes, really. I know the DTs were lost, but Scarlett did everything right. She shut down all the aggression. Oh no. It goes from bad to worse. GG. That is a quick game. And Nina, you know, one too many mistakes there and just getting herself out of it. I like the decision. I know some people might be like, oh, you don't quit early. Everything went terrible. Like everything that could go wrong. And Scarlett handled everything beautifully.
Yeah, I especially think the player like Nina, who I think is extremely momentum based in a lot of ways. Like, I remember Peely once telling me that if he was playing a best of, let's say, 3 or 5 series versus Nina in like PvP Disruptor Wars, and it looked like a Disruptor was about to land on his army, he would actually just quit out of the game before the Disruptor landed, because he knew even just giving Nina like the satisfaction of that would help her play even better in the next game. And I think that the opposite is also true, where when Nina has a bad game, like it can oftentimes carry over and sort of snowball into the next game. So I like the decision to just tap out there and cut your losses, but man, am I worried now for game number 2, Ben.
Me too. And Scarlett's actually using the time to tell our observer that you can invite people in a certain way to give them a certain color, just so the players don't have to. So that just shows that Scarlett's quite comfortable right now, like thinking about ways to improve in every way, shape, and form, even for our observer over here. But yeah, you are right that Nina has, I don't want to say been known to tilt, but she is an emotional player, and that's hard to get away from. It's also hard when it's working against you, because when emotions are high and you're playing super well, it's great. But this is, let's be real, this is getting to the real nitty gritty now. Is Nina supposed to win this series? No. Pressure is off, but when you go into the first game of a series like that and you make that row of mistakes, it is rough, because we have seen her lose like a Colossus to a missile turret and stuff. But yeah, you can't afford to do that at this stage. Like it's really not allowed.
Yeah, I think the saving grace and kind of hope that I have here as we move into game number 2 and the game gets started up on Oxide is that I think if there's something I really have to credit Nina to in the last like 2 years or so, is that Nina has very actively been working on her mentality. She's been very actively working on kind of just increasing her overall positive attitude, like enjoyment of the game. And I think that she's become a lot more stable in like these kind of situations where first game doesn't go so well. I think Nina is a lot better at bouncing back from that kind of stuff than she ever has been in the past. So I'm very hopeful. I got my fingers crossed, Ben, as a big Nina fan, that this is going to be a very different looking game.
Certainly could be. I hope so for her sake, because that was not pretty. Spawning over in the bottom left-hand side as the blue Zerg. On Oxide, it is Scarlett.
And up over here on the top right-hand side of the map, we have the red Protoss player from Psystorm Gaming. She is Nina.
Now, Nina is capable of taking maps off Scarlett and beating Scarlett, potentially. This game, the Probe Scout is a little bit earlier, so we'll get that hatch block off, which is already a better start, because that Probe turned up last game just as the hatchery was going down, unable to block it.
Yeah, Scarlett already just grabbing the third hatchery instead. Nina's just kind of coming into the main base to be annoying, but also just to confirm, okay, I didn't like miss an early pool or something happening over here, and I think Nina's going to be pretty happy just seeing, yep, all right, you just took the third hatchery. That's all well and good. That's actually pretty much what you wanted. It's going to cause a little bit of extra delayed mining time as the drones have to transfer and whatnot, but Nina will get to go into, I guess, a bit more of like that kind of mid game and everything, and see what she has planned this time. So Ben, I think one of the things that's always really impressive to me about Nina is I think when she's able to use, and she's playing, on points and everything like she usually does, she's able to use highly microable units and still just macro behind a lot of it. So things like an Oracle or things like Warp Prism, Archon Harass, and all that stuff, I think Nina is very effective with. So I'm really hoping we get to see an opening like that that just gives her a bit of space and I guess gets her into her comfort zone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Nina is an entertainer at heart when it comes to her play. Lots of fancy stuff can be done. Is it necessarily the best meta thing at the time? No, but given that she, a lot of the time, and I mean, I mainly talk about her PvT, she's pretty much the only one that I know that does it so regularly. This game, though, resorting to something far more normal. Although both games thus far against Scarlett, it's been kind of a normal opening. Stargate will be the choice.
Yeah, and I don't hate it just because I think Stargate still, even though it is a bit more normal and everything, I like that Nina is still just kind of sticking to things that I think she does still very well with. Her Stargate openings have always been like a very strong option for her. Her Oracle control is oftentimes quite good. I think the situation of a Stargate opening that I feel like is not playing to the stuff I was talking about would be like a Voidary opening where, look, Ben, I'm a Protoss player, I'm going to say it. Voidaries require some micro. They don't require quite as much micro as other units sometimes.
No, they don't, Ravi. And actually, this Overlord coming in here didn't get much info, right? It gets to see a Stalker, doesn't get to see a Stargate. But usually, if you're going for this kind of play, with the Oracle, getting the Stalker, that's pretty indicative that you are up against something like an Oracle. So a nice Spore Crawler does start going down for Scarlett. And it's about positioning here. She's got 3 bases, but not mining off the 3rd one just yet. But does just go for 1 Spore Crawler right now. I think she's playing extremely respectful and about as greedy as you can while still being very safe.
Yeah, the Oracle would be, the Spore Crawlers would already be prepared if the Oracle had just made its beeline across the map to try and get some damage done. Obviously, there's no Spore Crawler over there, but you got the double queens, and this is actually, going to be a very standard-ish opening style in the sense that it's going to be the double Stargate opening, which has been extremely popular lately. But Ben, we're going to wait to see, is it actually going to just be the typical style of double Stargate, or is Nina going to start adding on more and more Oracles here?
I'm interested in this for a few reasons. 4 gases before taking a 3rd or anything for Nina. That's a little wild, but also, like, the Stargate's gone completely unscouted. How many Spore Crawlers were made? Just 1? Where are the queens at? There's only 5 of them on the field.
Oh. Scarlett might act, is Scarlett misidentifying this a little bit? She's just been flooding out a lot of lings and sitting on a very low worker count. So even just these worker losses over here, Ben, are pretty brutal to take right now. Oracle's even going to be able to survive. Both of them do. 3rd base is going to have a very difficult time getting up right now. So that is a win there for Scarlett. But Scarlett is actually down 5 workers right now.
I think Scarlett has to be careful here. Like, canceling that 3rd was great, actually. Really good. I think she killed some Adepts as well in the meantime while deflecting the damage. But the thing that Nina's going for, getting a lot of Oracles is actually a really decent way of dealing with the Queen Walk stuff. They can snipe down the Queens very quickly. It's hard to land the transfusions. But this kind of stuff, this slows down Nina's progress so much because all that gas, or rather all that mineral count that she has, she can't really spend it.
Yeah, I mean, the only units that she's really wants to be making right now are just more of those Oracles for the moment, while she gets up, like, say, the Robo and some of the other tech, and losing another probe and losing the Adepts as well again. This is actually kind of brutal for Nina to be taking these kind of losses, but Nina is going to have a pretty scary number of Oracles pretty soon. She's already up at 6, and she's going for her 7th now. Most of the links have been dealt with. I feel like now is going to be the time for Nina, and she is, to move out with those Oracles and really put the pressure on to Scarlett, who, I just want to take a look at the Spore Crawler count at that 3rd. Okay, yes, there's 1 Spore and just a few Queens. This number of Oracles can actually kill all of that, Ben.
It can, but it's going to be tricky. Yeah, immediately snipes one of the Queens. Micros away. Nice transfusion by Scarlett. Another Queen pops out in the nick of time. So this is starting to be a little bit dicey. More Queens do show up. The Spore Crawler, got a few extra shots off there and actually kills an Oracle. I don't think this went even remotely as well as she wanted.
Yeah, 2 of the Oracles end up falling over there, which is definitely not ideal. And Scarlett can replenish those Queens a lot faster than Nina can replenish the Oracles. I think the ideal there is that maybe there's like one less queen. You can start sniping off some of the drones after that. But now Scarlett's up at 75 workers, has a Spire on the way, and is just adding on more spores. Nina's hand has kind of already been revealed at this point.
Yeah, interesting choice with a Spire, right? Like, it does look like she wants to switch into the roaches and stuff against this, but in my head, it's always been like, oh, I guess oracles are real. So they're good against queens, weirdly enough, and they're good against hydras in decent numbers. That's a real throwback to the time of Haas with his oracle play.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful focus fire there from Scarlett on the most weakened oracle with all of the queens, allows her to get that snipe off. Now this hatchery, it may not seem like it's in a lot of danger. Ben, it's actually in pretty big danger right now. I don't think it's gonna get sniped off right now, but Scarlett's gonna have to be using a lot of transfuses to heal that back up. Oracles seriously can kill buildings a lot faster than people expect.
Holy crap. Scarlett sees the Stargates, and she's like, you know what? 20 drones all at once.
Yeah.
She's got a huge bank of gas. Is it going to be Muta? Like, Muta could outright just win the game. It is going to be Muta. Okay, I like all of this. And Nina, she's actually going to start marching out across the map. And 94 drones, that is insane.
Man, I mean, the Mutas, I think I agree, can outright win the game. I do think it's going to take a little bit longer, like at least another 30 seconds more than Scarlett has to get out said Mutas in large enough numbers to just outright win the game. Nina might be able to just kill this hatchery, and as soon as she sees the Mutas, leave the Zealots to just continue doing damage and just recall everything else.
Yeah, is there enough sentries to deal with this? The Warp Prism's dead. And
a sentry wins 1 versus 1 versus a Muta with Guardian Shield on.
I mean, there's more Mutas than anything else, though. Like, the lack of Warpins. She recalls out of there, and Scarlett, yeah, she lost the hatchery, but all those drones just maneuver to another base.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely going to be a very, very costly snipe off over there for Nina. She did manage to keep, I think, a couple of the oracles alive, so she can try, even though, yes, obviously the oracles shouldn't be doing so much with the Mutas out on the map. Even having some revelations and stuff on those Mutas can be very nice. And we have the double Stargate already pumping out a couple of Phoenix. I think 2 are already out. 3rd and 4th one just popped. Once you get up 5, it really does start to feel like you can actually contend with the Mutas a little bit.
Yeah, but so dealing with the air is one thing for Nina, but I wouldn't be surprised if Scarlett just hammers out a bunch of ground now, realizing that she kind of collected air control here. A few roaches, kind of on the... Those were adventurous, to say the least. Storm being brought up for Nina as well, and yeah, she's continuing that Phoenix count.
Yeah, I don't actually hate getting up around 6 or so. It gives you a little bit of leeway and everything. And I'm actually really happy that, yeah, Nina just stops at 6. That is how many you need to just safely deal with an unknown number of Mutas. If there are going to be like a bunch more being added on, which we see that there's not, I think having a few more would be helpful. But if you also have a ground force and everything, the Phoenix are there to discourage the Mutas from diving in and just kind of wreaking havoc on their own.
Certainly are, and I do think like 6 to 8 is probably a good number, because I mean 17 Mutas, if they get on top of a base, you don't have anything else that really shoots up. I know there's an Archon, there's going to be Storm pretty soon, but the maneuverability of it is pretty massive. Ooh.
Oh, snipes off 2 of the Oracles, might be able to snipe off the 3rd after also sniping off a lot of these probes and even another pylon or so. Now here is where Nina's hoping to get some value. Basically, these Mutas should not be able to retreat back safely. No, you're actually not giving chase with the Phoenix. I feel like that's the majority of the point, right? Is that you have the Phoenix there so that you can give chase, but I guess the Hydras and the other Roaches and Ravages have already arrived now.
She sniped all the High Templars, like she forced them to turn into Archons. This is great for her. That was a genius play by Scarlett. Nina losing the Phoenix to the Mutas and the Biles. I don't think Nina can hold on.
Yeah, she just is simply just getting having too large of an army at her front door. She just can't actually do a whole lot with it anymore. Only 3 of the Phoenix remain. Stasis traps getting set off by individual Zerglings, and I think that Nina will win this small, tiny little skirmish right here, but at what cost, Ben? There is a bit of harassment inside the main base of Scarlett, which is why Scarlett pulled back those Mutas. But this is just buying minor amounts of time. I don't even know if that Warp Prism is going to be able to survive after this.
I can't believe that Scarlett's so willing to just drone up to maximum. Like, she's going to be close to 100 here, 96. But yeah, that was really beautiful usage of those mutas. They weren't going to do much in the fight with the Phoenix if the Phoenix were utilized properly. She just sent them in, made 4 High Templars that all had Storm available, morph into Archons. It was great play. Then they come home and also deal with the Warp Prism. Scarlett's in great shape.
Yep, couple more High Templars just getting picked off. There it is. And now there's just nothing on the ground, really. It's just a few Immortals and a few Archons, which are, sure, power units, but they need a buffer against this many units. I like the Force Field. It's going to buy a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, it just feels like Nina is not going to have enough to push this back. Scarlett, who is already sitting up 1-0, is getting up 2-0 now in this best of 5.
Oh, phenomenal play from Scarlett, honestly. Like, everything was good. It was clean. And yeah, it's not often you see Storm upgraded, and there's like 8 or 10 High Templars that just haven't been able to cast a spell. Just great play, honestly.
Yeah, well, that is going to put Scarlett at a really, really solid match point right here as we get ready to move into game number 3. But guys, as per usual, we're going to be heading to a break before we go into game number 3. So stick around for more StarCraft. Well, Ben, we're in a very similar situation here as we've seen many, many times, but this one might be a little bit more brutal than some of the others. A 2-0 lead for one of our players here in this best of 5 and 1 game away from winning. But Scarlett does seem like she has more of a grasp on this 2-0 lead than some of the other players have throughout today.
Yeah, Scarlett's looking in control, and she's looking very confident as well. And it's not even winning with anything super duper cheeky. She's just playing damn solid ZVP, which is awesome to see. And getting on to 2,000 atmospheres, spawning over in the top right as our blue Zerg, it is Scarlett.
And down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Protoss player from Psystorm Gaming. She is Nina.
It's really hard when you go up against a player that's as good as Scarlett, because everything that you've planned, everything that you feel should work against anybody else, it can fall flat on its face. And against a lot of other Zergs, that kind of style from Nina could have really caught them off guard. And that's one of the brutal things about StarCraft. You may be really damn good, but sometimes you run into somebody that might be just a little bit better, and then it looks so silly how not close sometimes it can be, even though in reality they're both really damn good at StarCraft.
Yeah, I like the balloon spray. You know, maybe a little bit hopeful that Nina's still in good spirits and everything. Response down.
Yeah, like Scarlett smiled at the thumbs down.
I like it. I'm a fan. Yeah, Scarlett, I think she is like actually one of those players that I look at. I'm like, Scarlett, you just are filled with actual talent. I think that is a large part of the reason why she's as good as she is, how she rose up as fast as she did back in 2012. And I think that a lot of the time she is just so good at reacting to kind of weirdness or things in the game. She just understands StarCraft really well. And I think that makes it very difficult to do strange things against Scarlett.
Yeah, I think Scarlett's very talented as well. I mean, I've always had a lot of faith in Scarlett just being a great player. I mean, that win at Pyeongchang and stuff. And if we go as far back as her beating Bomber in that legendary game, she's always been damn good. It's always been ridiculously hard to get better than Scarlett, especially in the NA scene. Going into this game, though, so far, very, very standard between both of them. Nina did get the hatch block off, so Scarlett took the more forward third base as her natural. And Nina is following it up with a Stargate once again.
Yep, we'll see. I have to imagine, Ben, that it's not going to be the same kind of Oracle play as last game, even though I think there was like maybe an opportunity for that Oracle play to get something done. Not taking the best of trades, and I think there's definitely some control stuff. Didn't go quite her way, but we'll see. We'll see exactly what Nina decides to make out of that Stargate. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one Oracle come out, though.
I'm thinking maybe a Void Ray this game, you know? I'm feeling it. Oh, it is an Oracle. Okay. It is chrono boosted as well. Toolings get in to see absolutely everything. Probes are kept alive, which is a big deal. But not even having to sack an Overlord so far, that's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, there is that one Overlord sitting outside the natural expansion, but I think, yeah, not having to sacrifice anything else is definitely going to be nice. Now, Adept is going to come forward and scouts out in the main base. Might even let that Shade... okay, doesn't decide to let it finish after seeing no Zerglings there. Could have actually maybe even gotten a Droner killer here or there, but regardless, going to play it safe, and it's going to be a second Oracle coming on out. Once you get past 3 Oracles, that's when I'm like, okay, hold on, you're trying something here. But up until 3, I'm like, you know, there are a lot of builds that you can do just to open up that way.
I think that'd have been a really good finish for that Adept, actually, now thinking about it. It would have been really good. This game, though, this Adept, again, Scarlett's been making these third bases always a little bit tricky for Nina, even if it's just about revealing what air units you go in or what have you. But Nina deflected this quite nicely. Oh my goodness, the Oracle flew across everything. That is problematic.
That is a brutal loss to take. That Oracle was supposed to join up with the second Oracle and get something done. The Phoenix was also supposed to join in the fray and maybe also find some Overlords, pick up a Queen, and maybe get a few kills here or there. But now a lot of those plans kind of get ruined. This is actually a really bad start now for Nina.
Yeah, you're meant to kind of keep tempo. It's like similar rules to TVZ. Protoss have weapons to slow down the Protoss, but if you immediately lose one of your weapons, a single Phoenix here for Nina. That is unusual, but I kind of like it, especially for sniping down some of these overlords. But Ravi, it's one of those situations where you get that Phoenix because you want to lift up a queen and maybe dive in with the oracles. Whereas now, it's kind of stunted that plan. A third oracle is going to be getting made, which I guess is because she wants to do that. But yeah, it's definitely a rough start.
Yeah, I mean, this was honestly, it's like a very old school kind of opening where you get up the Oracle, Phoenix, Oracle, and like it's supposed to be like the 3 oracles dive in with the Phoenix lift up on the queen or something. And if all the queens aren't just actually at that base, you can start getting a really significant amount of damage done. But now we have a couple of gateways finishing on up. We have the Warp Prism also going to be joining the fray, and we'll see what Nina can accomplish with this set of units. There's already like a bunch of roaches and ravagers now out, a lot of lings being made. There's a queen march across the map. Nina, I don't think she's going to get the opportunity to be aggressive like she wanted to. Yeah,
definitely not. I was looking at this, I was like, Ravi, the last thing you're mentioning is this queen walk across the map, and that is the big deal right now. Nina did a good job macroing though. She's up to 62 probes, so if she does live through this, she is going to be in good shape. The stasis is around town as well. Definitely made this a little bit trickier.
Yeah, it's going to try and force field out some of the queens. Does delay some of them. Hey, getting a really nice set of stasis traps on these Zerglings. It's not even about the Zerglings being trapped. It's about a force field wall. This is like an unbreakable force field wall for at least another 15-20 seconds. You can already see Nina's trying to abuse it. Those force fields are going to be expiring pretty soon, though. Those Zerglings will start coming out, and those sentries are going to have a very important job to play right now.
Oh, this is so hard for Nina. Where does she battle? Breaking into the natural is Scarlett. Biles are coming down. She could empower everything, but there's just so much Zerg at this point. How does Nina go about breaking this?
Shield battery number 1 is going to get taken out. The second shield battery gets overcharged over there, but there's just not units that have a lot of hit points left over to try and take advantage of it. The shield battery does get taken out, and Immortal pops out, and I like that. It's going to be able to actually contend with some of these units. The third base, I wouldn't mind even if Nina did something like recall all these probes out, because there's no way you finish that. No, she's going to tap out. GG. Scarlett takes the series 3-0.